What's happening, Brighton? The short answer is a lot. The long answer is this podcast. What's Up Brighton is a show dedicated to the community we all love.
Hosted by Roger Burnett, Eric Meldrum, and Coach Mark Howell, this podcast will feature news, issues, and discussions impacting Livingston County and celebrate the people who make our slice of Michigan go and grow. This is What's Up Brighton.
Welcome. What's Up, Brighton? Today we got an awesome guest, guys. We're here with my friend Roger, Mark, and who do we got in this seat?
Hi there. I'm Keith Karp from Lolli, Downtown Brighton.
Welcome, Keith.
Awesome. Welcome,
Thank
man.
you. Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
So I invited Keith on because Keith's a wealth of knowledge, and I've known Keith for how many years has it been? 2016. I think
ever since you moved here,
dude. He was one of my good friends when we moved here. And the girls absolutely love the candy shop. So, Keith has always been kind of the guy who's plugging me in, hey, you should talk to this person, you should talk to that person. And I lean on him heavily, for a lot of things that are happening downtown. Because
you must be desperate.
He's always in the know. He's always got that.
I try.
I believe that Eric brought us his inside source.
Oh,
I did.
Inside source here.
This isn't like Fox News. I don't have all the secrets behind me. I bring them forward.
Bring them forward. Out in the
light.
Wow. We bring it out.
Sharing is caring, Eric.
That's
I
it.
appreciate that.
So I thought it'd be fun today to bring Keith on because lots happened. Since last year, Taste of Brighton, where now we have a new streetscape. You're on the committee, and we were all dying to know, how did it go?
Yeah, it's been a crazy few years. Downtown Brighton with streetscape coming out of the pandemic and things like that. We were super excited to get back to what we do for the Taste of Brighton and the planning that goes on. The beautiful streetscape. So, they had quoted me in the paper saying, the house is clean. Now we're ready for the party. And boy, what did it ever go off? So there was a lot of new things, right? So we had been doing this event 8 continuous years, and there was some blips with the streetscape and pandemic, but after you do it a few times, everything's pretty much all right. Let's plug it all back
It's on
in.
autopilot, right?
But now we got things, planners, and the streets narrower and things like that we had to kind of go through. So we had to kind of work a little extra harder this year to make sure to go through these, and pretty much everything went off without any trouble. I think it's the biggest attendance we've ever seen. Pretty much everyone was happy, from the customers to the all the vendors and things like that.
It was packed down there. We had talked about it a couple episodes prior, and we knew the street was going to be narrower. So there was kind of this question of can the flow get a little bit better? And that's one of the things some of the things I heard was that a lot of the lines for the vendors kind of encroached into the street. So they're now trying to figure out okay, how do we manage that? How do we not make that such a cluster going through? And in previous years, the storefronts behind all the vendors typically were this no-go zone. You just don't go back there because they got their coolers back there, all the electricals back there, all the stuff's back there.
Yeah, and the sidewalks were a lot more narrow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Narrow. So we were spitballing how do we make the flow that much better? And so we came up with this idea of why don't you put all the vendors in the middle, right? And then you have this oval, and then I saw the plans for the street, and you actually need a fire exit. So I was scratch that.
Yeah, we've looked at that in the past, and it's all about safety and fire, rescue, being able to get out there.
Yeah,
that's the big thing. And one of the things we tried to do, and we knew that might be an issue, was to have stuff at the amp. Stuff by my store, Imagination Station. We had a mobile gaming truck for the first time that was free to do. To have pockets of stuff to encourage people not all be on Main Street. So we tried to do that, but there's some things that we need to look into to help, especially those peak times with the lines, with all the vendors and things.
Yeah, it's just pros and cons. So next year, what are the takeaways? What were your ahas? I know you're gonna have a meeting on this with everybody.
Yep, we just had it Wednesday. We had our wrap up lessons learned meeting, and we're already starting now. We'll take a week or two off and get back to planning next year's and make it even better and more successful.
Yeah.
But some of the things we learned, the two ends are a lot more narrow. In the middle, it's a lot wider.
Okay.
And there's big planters right there by Brighton Bar and Grill, Heine Street. That's kind of a dead zone because you can't put booths because of the fire requirements and things like that. So we're looking to put like jumping all-stars, have performance in those little pockets, half hour here, half hour there to encourage people. And once again, to kind of stroll and do that. But the lines, we're going to have to get creative with that because we looked to maybe have the lines go around the booths and then, but the problem is those planners, we started looking at that and you can't really get around to do that. So
sure.
Yeah, that's tough because like you don't necessarily the booths are so close together, and this is just like really minute stuff. Like how do you manage it? Like the booths are so close together, you can't like put a line that goes to the left or right of one particular booth because then you're in front of the other booth. Like
100%.
So there's a no win zone. Like you don't know what to do. You just got to keep the vendors moving. So maybe spacing some of the more popular vendors out. Like hey, who had the most amount of lines? Like where were the bottlenecks at?
Yep. Those are definitely things we're looking at. But the one thing about this festival, as you guys probably know, this is for us, by us, about us. So these are a lot of the vendors are right outside their store. So they're not going to, it'd be great if we could say, hey, Brighton Bar and Grill, you're booming. Can we move you down here? But they have all the infrastructure there. So that's one of the hurdles we run into because all the vendors are business owners or storefront owners that are here year round. We do have some off Main Street people that are inside of the DDA and stuff that come down, and a handful of nonprofits. Great one right here. Fun to life, eh? Mark? Yeah. So it's definitely a challenge. I mean, it's great having wider sidewalks, but narrows the road. So, just things. One of the other things that we did that was successful and maybe need to advertise a little bit more is we had shuttles from the high school, and then also at the BARC parking lot. They let us
that
use
worked out great.
Yeah, it worked out great.
Both days I took the shuttle from the high school in, and it was super easy. Yeah, it was not a big deal at all. It was awesome.
Yeah, and we encouraged all of our employees to do that to hopefully help that. So it's all about education and really getting it out there that people know. But pretty much a huge success. Small hurdles that are no parking kind of sucks, but it says you have a great event, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you go and you can find a spot right away, I guess you're not really doing a good job with the event, in my opinion. I mean, you go to Ann Arbor, you got to find parking, right?
Oh, parking's going to be a problem wherever you go. But I think from my point of view, like, I was down there both days. First day, I was, coming down and getting some content, just kind of doing a behind the scenes, strolling around, like looking at all the vendors. And, then I came back later in the day and it just started progressively getting busier and busier. And even still like 11 to 12 o'clock, like when everyone was still an hour in after setup, people were still out. Like they just now getting down there. So it was busy all year round or all day long, from what I understand. I actually crashed my drone that day.
Oh, did you really? Uh-oh.
I was getting, I lost all the footage from Taste of Brighton.
No.
I was so mad, dude. I flew for like 20 minutes and then I brought it down, switched batteries. And then I was going to try to get like a really nice shot of Mill Pond, like the water kind of cascading in before it goes, under the road and then out. And that little point right there, as soon as my drone got like lower than the walls, it just went into this like the wind vortex. I don't know if it was like the water. It just like did a 360 and then like nosedived right into the water and then it washed through.
So you lost it.
Oh, I lost the whole entire thing. Yeah. SD card was in there and everything. It was gone. It was gone.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah. I'm so mad about that.
And those things aren't cheap.
They're not cheap. They're not cheap. We'll have a flyaway service, but that we had a lot of fun. The girls and I were down there and Brianna, we were down there pretty much, we had dinner down there and then we hung out afterwards. One of our friends from Friday night said like between 7 and 8 o'clock, like you couldn't even move.
Yeah.
Like downtown. Like it was so busy.
Yeah. And good and bad comes from that.
Congratulations on the success.
Thank you.
That's really what it boils down to. One of the other things that you did that I found really unique and interesting, and maybe you've done this in years past, so I wasn't made aware of it, but surveying, asking people to like give you feedback.
No, we've always done surveys, but Ken, our president on the board from Running Lab, he's really savvy at getting those surveys out there. He does a really good job with Running Lab and all those surveys. So he's been integral to streamlining that whole thing. And yeah, we've never been more organized with this board that we have. And it's, there's always lessons learned and we can improve. But yeah, I've been on the board since its inception, this whole thing, and this is the best it's ever gone.
Yeah. So with increased visibility of survey, I'm guessing you got more survey results. What did the survey tell you?
Yeah, most people like, oh my God, Eric here, name escaped me for a second, said they had a great time. Obviously, you're going to get some people that complain about the parking and things like that. And, I wish there was more we can do, but there's only so much land and, can't just make more land.
I'm so sick of hearing about the parking.
Exactly.
I'm so sick of hearing about it.
Did you... there was a lot of little flourishes that you did this year that were different than in years past. So like the water stations, talk a little bit about like all of the extra amenities that got layered into the event, because maybe not everybody was paying attention to the fact that there were all of these little extra things. Parking is the big one.
Yeah.
The fact that we had the shuttle service this year.
That was awesome.
Which I thought was hilarious, because if you read through the posts and the comments in Brighton, Michigan happenings, I don't know how people were not made aware of the fact that there wasn't parking.
And believe it or not, we got feedback saying, hey, we had nowhere to park, we didn't go. And, some people just skim through that stuff and don't do it. And we need to maybe do a little better job of getting out there and letting people know. But like I said, this was the first year after a 2-year delay with a brand new structure and everything.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked about it before, and I don't think we've ever just really kind of opened it up. But because these type of committees, have a thing of a way of doing the things on their own, right? And we've never impeded that. The group is a perfect place for that. We've opened that up, and I told Ken, if you want to do any promotion, for Taste of Brighton, let me know. Yeah. Right. And nobody's ever taken me up on that. Right. It's always been like, we'll share this, we'll share that. 40,000 people, in the group, so this is another invitation.
Yeah. You've done a great job building that group.
Let me know. Somebody needs to get on camera and let people know what's happening, for the lead up. Like, this is a perfect opportunity for that.
For sure.
Yep.
So touch on the water stations, and then were there any other little extra new things?
Yeah, there was actually quite a bit of new things. So let's go back to the last one we had 2 years ago. We forewent the music and stuff, and we went with a DJ, and did a survey then, not as comprehensive as this one was, but had some feedback. One of the biggest things we learned is they missed the live music.
Yeah.
They didn't know where the food was. So we really went hard on the live music. We had staging at either end, full 5-piece bands, the amp headliner at the end of the night. A lot more watering stations. Didn't have covered seating in the prior years, so we made sure to have some covered seating. Apparently there wasn't enough, so we'll look to add some more to that. But a lot more, like the mobile gaming was free for the kids. There was always something missing for that age group, 10 to 18, and I thought the mobile gaming truck is a good thing. And the one thing about us, we put it on, we're a nonprofit, we all volunteer to do this. Every dollar that comes in, we spend to add to the event. The Chamber does an amazing job with events, but they got a lot of overhead. We volunteer, no one gets paid. So literally the last week I added a dino experience at the amp for the kids twice a day, and she brought out some princesses and things like that. So we just want to keep adding to the event. We try to get it to where you're not always digging in your pocket, and you can maybe walk up and down the street and have a good time with the family and friends and not break the bank, if you will. So watering station. In fact, in the meeting, I said, I'd like to be the event that's known that water's free, right? Because boat champs, they come out and they'll hand out as much water as you want, and just
4,500 bottles.
Yep.
4,500 bottles of water they gave out for free.
Wow.
Yeah. Really? And they've been there every year for it.
And I think they had like actual water pouring stations too.
They had that too.
Yep. So,
are you or a loved one struggling with the effects of stroke? The Oxford Center in Brighton, Michigan offers a cutting-edge alternative stroke treatment that can help stroke victims even years after having a stroke. Our approach combines traditional medicine with evidence-based alternative therapies, including hyperbaric oxygen therapy. This advanced treatment involves breathing pure oxygen in a specialized environment that can stimulate the growth of new blood vessels and promote healing in the brain. We also offer physical therapy, speech therapy, and occupational therapy programs to help patients regain their strength, coordination, and ability to communicate. Time is of the essence when it comes to stroke recovery. Contact the Oxford Center today at 248-486-3636 or visit our website at theoxfordcenter.com to learn more about our alternative stroke treatment options, including hyperbaric oxygen therapy. That's 248-486-3636 or visit theoxfordcenter.com.
Yeah, so a lot of new board members, was breath of fresh air, if you will, for the event.
Yeah, I think that was the big thing too.
That's really cool.
Just being in conversation with you and some other board members that I know, there was this kind of invigoration, that I felt from everybody talking to them, of like they were excited about it again. Where I think in past years it had kind of been like an energy suck from some people of like, I got to put up with this, or I got to put up with that. So whoever was removed, not to name any names, like maybe that was sounds like a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, we've always been very active. Everyone's very passionate about it. But one of the things we lacked was restaurant owners on the board. Yeah. And we now have 2 restaurant owners.
That's awesome.
3, really. And that's really helpful. I don't know the restaurant industry.
Sure.
So I'm making decisions for you guys. So that was nice. And the 2 restaurants, The Pound and Label, Nick and Steve were able to book the music. They booked music weekends, so they have those contacts. So that was nice.
Oh, cool.
But one of the things, and then back to the food, one of the things we added was big food flags. I don't know if you saw.
Those were huge.
You could walk down the street and see where you could get food at the next place. So
I thought that was awesome.
We tried to get real diverse in the food. Yep. I don't know if you guys know, there's an Indian place in town. It's amazing. I begged them to come down because I want them to stay. I love Indian food, but we had Indian, Thai, all the different great restaurants that have their stuff. And
Mexican.
Yes.
Was this the first year that Thai Express was out there?
Nope, they've been out there before.
I don't know that I've ever seen them out there.
They were going on vacation, so we had to talk to them because we really wanted the diversification of food, right? To showcase what Brighton has. And a lot of people think Taste of Brighton's just food. It's really a taste of everything Brighton has to offer. Mm-hmm. Not even the shops, but our great downtown, the streetscape, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we want people to come down here and have an experience and to keep coming back. That's what it's all about.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I just felt like I saw a lot of new restaurants too. Casa Tequila was out there. They were new. Was the other Mexican restaurant out there?
We made subcommittees this year because it was getting so much. We'd have 3.5-hour meetings. So we're like, so I didn't have a big portion of laying out the street. I was more on the activities, family activities. And then Steve and Nick from The Pound, they were on the music and that type of stuff. So I wasn't integral. I mean, in years past, I could tell you exactly where everyone was and who was there.
Sure.
But
even 4 Circles, which is up on Grand River, they brought themselves down, and what a great way for them to continue to introduce themselves because they're kind of tucked out of the way a little bit in their location.
Yep.
So to have a chance to be visible, and I don't know if you followed their social media feed, but they were thrilled about the exposure that they got during the event.
Yeah. So pretty much 100% success, although there was some feedback we got from some of the merchants. I think we maybe overcorrected with the music. It became more of a stroll up and down with social district cocktails and things like that going to do the music. And some of our retailers are reporting back that their in-store numbers weren't as good as they have been in the past. So got to find somewhere in the middle here to make that adjustment because it's for all of us.
I feel like that's a big problem, regardless of how you slice the cake, with it is like, because that's why I brought up earlier is like, how do you get those people in those businesses? Because of the setup of the Taste of Brighton, you have vendors on both ends right in front of the storefronts. So it's not like a really inviting, like, oh yeah, go behind our booth and go into our store. Running Lab did something kind of unique because they actually have a pretty large storefront to begin with, but they set up their tent on the side. And then they had these racks, which were kind of walk-through racks, and that kind of led into the store. And what they did was they had sunglasses out there for sale. And when we bought them, instead of just charging you right there, said, go in our store, take these in our store and go check out.
Yeah. That's smart.
Like, they also do their big summer sale that same weekend every year, which I think is brilliant.
And he does it the day before, or even 2 days before.
Yeah.
They crush it that weekend.
Yeah. Well, so he's got a huge following, and if you're a runner, they take
that's
good
where you
care
go.
of you. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, just the mere fact of like, hey, to check out, just head into the store.
Yep.
That was enough. Then my wife's in there, and she's like, "Oh, I like those Birkenstocks," and she buys a pair of Birkenstocks. I'm like, okay. Yep. I guess we just increased our bill from 40 to 140.
I do think too, like retailers need to be mindful of people aren't coming down to a festival downtown for them. They're coming for the music and for the food and for hanging out. And it's at the end of the day, like if you want to drive people into your store, like you need to get creative on how to capture your audience.
Exactly.
Like it's not up to the Taste of Brighton to drive people in your store. It's up to you to drive people in your store.
Yep. We'll bring the people to you, drive them into your store. Yeah. But I think we did overcorrect because in years past, it was always been one of the biggest most weekends for retailers.
Sure.
You can look at the numbers, especially ones that have been there for many years. So there's a meaning. I think we can make a correction there. But you're right. You got to get out there and hustle. If you're just going to put a booth up and just stand there and hope that people are going to work their way in your store, you got to have a draw, right? I mean, I hide tokens in the Playscape for a reason. It's my best form of advertising. Kid finds a token and he's got 2 or 3 brothers, sisters with him. They got to come redeem the token. And guess what? I extract a few more dollars out of mom and dad's pocket.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's good. Well, we covered a lot with the Taste of Brighton, but that's not all Keith does. And he talked about, the candy shop, and, I love showcasing the stories of business owners downtown. If people don't know you. So, I've heard your story a lot, but I just want to give you the high level, like, how did you get into the candy business?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'll give you guys a cliff notes because I'm not sure we have enough time here. But long story short, about 15 years ago now, I was in the automotive industry for almost 14 years. Design engineer for the automotive, and we were in a recession, automotive slowdown, found myself with a layoff and a small buyout, my life savings, and said, all right, I'm going to control my own destiny and research back in the Great Depression, right? We were in a recession. So what concepts survived even during the Great Depression? And I found entertainment, sweets, and alcohol. Plenty of places to drink, and I can't sing to save my life. So I was stuck with sweets. So I started researching and found this concept's quite prevalent over in Europe with the hard candy and the customization stuff that we do. Very similar to the way the fudge is done. It's all made right in front of the customer. Okay. It's all customizable. We can personalize the flavor, the color, and the label design that goes on that for nonprofit promotions or trade shows and things like that for realtors at closing and things like that. That's the bread and butter. But obviously, the sweet experience, as we call it, where you can come in and watch see the candy made, is the other part of the concept. So, and it was proved out again through the pandemic. I survived through a pandemic. We had the streetscape. So, the nice thing about what I do, it's a small footprint. Most of the candy is all made there on site. So, if I'm not selling candy, I don't need to rebuy bags, ingredients, and things like that. If I am, I've got the cash flow to keep things going. So it was kind of neat. It stunk. The pandemic stunk all the way around, but to see it kind of prove out my concept to get me to the other side of it. So
that's awesome.
So yeah, it was 15 years, June 1st, and the rest is history.
Yeah. And
so cool.
I couldn't think of a better location.
Yeah.
For you. Like, I don't know that any other downtown has that type of positioning. Like, and was that strategic, or did you just stumble upon that location?
100% strategic. It was a blessing in disguise. It was the perfect location. I've been in Livingston County since '84. I live in Howell, but Brighton, Livingston County, I'm always passionate about. So I wanted to have my business close to home, and that building had just been built. It was in a recession, so there wasn't a lot of people clamoring for it, and it was meant to be an office space, but I talked to the landlord, and he goes, "Yeah, we'll convert it to whatever you want to get you in there." So
sweet.
Yeah. So I always said if the concept didn't make it there, it wouldn't make it anywhere. It was honestly, I trademarked the name and the slogan, "Your message made sweeter," to possibly franchise proof of concept. And I was this close to doing it, and then the pandemic happened. So I've pulled back the reins and kind of shelved that for now. May visit it in the future, but yeah.
So we could see Oh My Lolli in neighboring cities, new locations.
Who knows? We'll see.
We'll see where that goes.
I've got a few irons in the fire on a couple different things.
All right. Well,
always dabbling with something.
Keep me posted on that. We'll bring the news. Yeah.
Sure.
So the location is pivotal. For those of you who don't know, if you don't know where Oh My Lolli is, oh my gosh, it's a staple of Brighton, but it's right downtown, right outside of the Imagination Station in Heine Alley.
Yep.
So you can't get out of the Imagination Station without walking out of the Imagination Station. All the kids saying, "Oh my God, lollipops!" Or going over to Jackie's Custard for custard there. So location is prime. I mean, that brings in a lot. I know we did that one event. Was it 2 years ago? I think at this point we did a family fun day.
Oh yeah,
downtown, and that was really fun. We brought some games down there. We just had a really nice event for just the community. All right, it was free, so you could come down. And one of the things that you told me after that event, which was I wasn't expecting it at all. I just asked you how was it going, and it was 3 hours, for people to come down. We were handing out, little gift bags and stuff for the kids. And you're like, dude, I've done more in the past 3 hours in sales than I did all art fair in years before.
Yeah.
All right. And that was one thing where like I've always seen, I've talked to you about, some of the businesses down there during Taste of Brighton. Like to our point, like a lot of the businesses don't have a draw in or sales have been down. Like, and that's the whole point of these festivals is to bring commerce downtown. So to hear that of like just my little impromptu, family fun day, it was like, wow, like we were able to help a local business and partner, and like we're good friends. That has always stuck with me.
100%.
Like,
no, I mean,
that's amazing.
Our community is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, during the pandemic, the support that we all got and the people that went out of their way to make sure they're having fundraiser at Hilton, they'd come and instead of ask for donations, they were buying, and just the community is great. And if the givebacks, it goes both ways, right? You do donations to help the community. They see and recognize that. And then when stuff happens like the pandemic, the community is just amazing. Yeah. They really rallied, and there were probably been a lot more businesses that maybe wouldn't have made it through without our great community. So that's what it's all about. This community is great. We love this community. Give and give back. And
that's super cool. And you guys do a lot more than just have the storefront. So what are some of the other ways that you can help people if they run a business, that run a nonprofit? Like you guys do a lot of bulk orders too.
Yeah, we do. We can customize flavor, color, label design for whatever it is. Your message made sweeter is the trademark slogan. So we can do Hilton. At the end of the day, we started selling Dippin' Dots. I said, hey, Keith, we want to buy 750 bags of Dippin' Dots. And so I drove the freezer to him, dropped it off, picked it up 2 hours later. So light bulb goes off. And so we offer it as rentals for graduation parties and things like that. So the one thing the pandemic taught us all is we got to adapt and learn. And I mean, back to the pandemic, and I hate to keep mentioning that terrible time, but when people started to be able to come out but couldn't come in the store, my storefront's a very small footprint, right?
Yeah.
We put a menu on the board with a little doorbell. They'd ring the doorbell, we'd come out, take their order, and like the ice cream man, go back in, grab their order and bring it out to them. And then we were hand delivering. We did Lolli's of Love. So it's all back to your point, Mark. Whether it's a festival or a tough times, you got to adapt and find ways, and you got to have that hustle.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because if it were easy, everyone would be doing it. Yeah. I got it written 100%. On my backboard and on the eraser board. If it were easy, everyone would be doing it. Power outage. I had the other day, power went out. My monitor for the power on my Dippin' Dots, it's negative 40 degrees. I had to throw a generator in the back of my car and drive it up here at 9. And I was there until 11:30 when the power came back on. And I had a field trip the next day of 60 kids. So it's just what you got to do.
That's part of life.
Yep.
That's awesome.
And you can't let those Dippin' Dots die, man. Those things are amazing.
Criminal. That would be criminal.
Oh.
No. So
save the Dippin' Dots.
So you expanded Dippin' Dots. You've had the Lolli's and just the normal candies for a long time. And then you did the candy skewers.
Yeah. So shame on me. For years, until the pandemic, the only candy I was ever going to have in there was going to be our candy that we make. Pandemic happened. I narrowed it down to the top 10 sellers. Stuff started opening up, and I had all this open shelving. So I started ordering other stuff in. There's TikTok candies that these kids know and see. It sells themselves. So I've got areas now, and we still have 10, 11 flavors, and we can have the recipes for special order to order any of the prior flavors we have. You can always do that. But all these candies, I go on Amazon or pick up my candy supplier, and I order them and bring them in, and I don't have to pay all the labor to make it and everything. And it bumped my average ticket up, which is one of the bigger things. You either get more customers or you got to get that average ticket up. So.
Right. Yep. Bring it in. Give the kids.
And I should have did it years ago.
Give the kids what they want.
Stubborn.
Give the kids what they want. I know my girls. I think I have bought. What are those little like dinosaur eggs that you have next to the register?
Yep. Biggest impulse buy thing
dude, I think I have probably a whole army of dinosaurs.
Yeah, if you guys don't know what he's talking about, they're little eggs. You put them in water, and over time they hatch into a little foam dinosaur.
Okay.
$1 a piece. They come in boxes of 60. I go through probably 5 boxes a week.
Oh my god!
During the summer.
You know what you can do with those after they've become hydrated? You can put them on the dashboard of your Jeep.
No, you cannot, Roger.
Those are
Roger
ducks.
can get punched in the face.
Oh, you're
Roger,
you're
those are
across from him now. Just like kick him over there.
He finds a way every episode to weave the damn Jeep in.
Running joke with Mark. He's not a big fan of the Jeep drivers that put the ducks on their dashboard.
Oh,
the Wranglers.
I was going to say, I'm going to duck you.
See?
That's what they call it, right?
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would burn that duck so fast.
Chuck it into the mill pond. Go swimming.
Yeah.
I'm interested, Keith, as a downtown merchant. We just had a very in-depth episode discussion around, we have great population density coming into the community. We've got, it's a rapidly evolving dynamic. How do you as a downtown business owner see it?
Wow, it's a loaded question.
It is. Thank
Obviously,
you. You're welcome.
more density doesn't help that parking, does it? Right?
Certainly does not.
I always think more is better, but I mean, I don't know. My concept is such that, people like the apartment complex that's going in. I'm not sure how many units are there. I think it's going to be great. They're going to be walkable to come down to the park, grab a slushie, grab a lollipop, Dippin' Dots, whatever it may be. But there are some fears of others that don't see it as a good thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but my concept, it's just like, so back to the festival numbers. My in-store sales were down a little bit, but because of I'm on the street with Dippin' Dots and slushies, parents are walking around with a cocktail. How are you going to tell a kid, no, you can't have a slushie? So I made up for it on the street.
Okay.
Now, if I'm a retailer that sells clothes and I'm not really, it's
Sure.
a, drinking, eating festival, they're not going to realize those numbers. So,
Yep.
I'm a little different concept than most, I guess is the best way to say it.
Mm-hmm.
It's good perspective.
Parking.
Yeah.
Parking at the end of the day is paramount. It's going to be paramount.
Well, we made some predictions last episode in terms of where we see some things going with downtown. Curious on what your thoughts are. Is downtown going to stay our sleepy town, or are we in for some pretty big developments in the future?
Well, I don't have my pulse on a lot of that, but I think that sleepy town's gone. That ship has sailed.
Yeah.
Which, in my opinion, I think is great. But you have a lot of people that want it to be that sleepy town. I don't know. It's growth can be good and it can be bad.
Yeah.
So it's already gone.
In a way, I mean, for the old school people that grew up here in Brighton, like Lynn's Cafe, the owners of that, they've grew up their whole life here. So they remember when, there was a lot more smaller and not big developments and things like that. But when big developments are investing in your community, that means the community is doing something right.
Absolutely.
Right? You want to be successful in business or building or whatever, when they build a Walmart, follow there. Start building houses, right? Because they've done the research, right? So when you start seeing big developments, we're on the map.
We're on the map.
Yep.
100%.
Yep. We just talked about this, and we've I don't know if you guys caught the news. This wasn't it's not a big deal, but Livingston County just surpassed Oakland County as the wealthiest county in Michigan.
Come on.
Yep.
Let's go.
They have,
Now the word is really out.
Yeah, it's a per capita calculation, but per capita we have the wealthiest county.
Sure.
And our location is ideal for anyone.
Right.
If you work in Detroit or Lansing or Flint or, we got the intersection of, 23 and 96, it's all right there. So you're 40 minutes, 50 minutes from downtown Detroit or, wherever you want to be.
Right.
And you pop right on the expressway and you get there.
Yep.
It's desirable.
Yep, I agree. Well, this has been good, man. You want anything else you want to add for anybody listening, the audience?
No, come buy some Dippin' Dots.
There you go.
That's right. I'm
There
in.
you go.
I'm in.
Custom orders. We can customize orders for you guys. So
There you go. That's what I was getting at earlier.
yeah, if you have business promos or whatever, we'd like to make
Heck
your
yeah.
message sweeter. That's what we
So
do.
come down, support Keith and Oh My Lolli. If you don't know where it is, right on Heine Alley, right behind Sonny's.
Yep.
Sonny's on the corner.
A good
Behind Brighton Bar and Grill.
Yeah, Brighton Bar and Grill right next to that, but on the back side, facing the Imagination Station.
Yep.
One last thing, we're very proud to offer allergen-free candy.
There you go.
Nuts, dairy, soy, gluten, shellfish. I always send them as a couple, but the top 8. We're also kosher, vegan. So we check all the boxes. It is candy, but we make it with organic cane sugar. We don't use high fructose corn syrup. Use as many natural flavors as possible. We offer dye-free options, sugar-free options. So try to have a little something for everyone.
Yeah.
Trying to make sure to sweeten up everyone's day.
It's a destination. It's a vibe in there. You can come in. You guys do, it's like scouts and Boy Scouts and field trips,
Yep.
and schools come in. that's the destination that they make it into. So thanks, Keith. This has been awesome. You know, we just wanted to bring you on, spotlight you as somebody here local in the community. So hopefully the audience enjoyed this show. And until next time, don't forget to subscribe and tap that little bell so you're the first to learn about things happening right here in Brighton. And I'm going to use Roger's sign out. This is Eric signing out.
Awesome, guys. Thanks for having me. Really
appreciate
it.
For sure, man.
Appreciate the opportunity.
Cheers.
Absolutely.